Thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. Now let's get into this. So Chris Eubank Jr. Okay, Chris Eubank Jr., the latest fight I'm going to talk about on my Who Was a Big Problem series that's going on. It's been going well actually, this kind of little series I have going. It's Chris Eubank Jr. Now, cast your minds back to a few years ago, right, when Chris Eubank Jr. was fighting on Sky, when all the talk was about him versus Triple G. At the time, Triple G would have probably been in his prime. Eubank Jr., there was a lot of hype surrounding him. You know, he'd had some good wins. He was looking devastating. He was looking explosive. He was looking good. And then that fight doesn't materialise. We're hearing instead he's going to fight Tommy Langford, I think it was at the time, for the British title. Obviously, that fight didn't come about. I forget the reason why that didn't happen. But that was to be on a Frank Warren show. And then, out of nowhere, we get the announcement that he's going to be fighting on ITV pay-per-view against Reynold Quinlan, who was terrible, for an obscure IBO title, which it was. Then obviously fought Arthur Abraham, slightly better win, to be fair. Abraham, though, seen better days. And then he looked very good against Yildirim. Alright, looked explosive in that fight. And off the back of that, he ended up getting the George Groves fight. Now, at the time, I wasn't on YouTube at the time, obviously, but I heavily favoured George Groves in that fight. And I'm someone where if I'm wrong, or if I'm, ever proven wrong, I just don't up and I admit it, because there's no point lying about it. But at the time, I couldn't see anything other than George Groves win. Genuinely couldn't see anything other than that happen in that fight. And I was right. So then it kind of became, okay, well, where's Eubank Jr. going to go? Is he going to go back to Eddie Hearn? Is he going to stick around? What's he going to do? And obviously the Al Hayman deal came about last year. People thought that might be a good move. I thought it would be a good move, actually, personally. And, obviously he got the James DeGale fight. He beat James DeGale, beat him pretty decisively. Wasn't old James DeGale, but still, James DeGale, tricky boxer, Olympian. So DeGale, even at that stage, was a tough opponent. And the thing is, you could see with James DeGale when he did box with Eubank, he was the better boxer. And if this was the DeGale of a few years ago, definitely would have given Eubank Jr. some problems. But then Eubank Jr. just went quiet. We heard names like John Ryder floating around, but nothing ever really materialised. And then obviously, out of the blue, and it really was, when you think about it, out of the blue, he was announced to be fighting Matt Korobov. Matt Korobov, a southpaw, very tricky. And, I picked Eubank Jr. from the start. I thought he'd win it on points. Obviously, Korobov showed in the first round of that fight that, he was tricky, won that first round. Then obviously he got injured. So, Eubank Jr. won it by default in the second round. Don't think many people saw that coming. But Eubank Jr., since the whole Al Hayman deal's come about, he's not on ITV anymore because that was on Premier Sport, I think it was, that fight. I think they've done a deal with Box Nation actually now, which, is what it is. I'm still not going to pay for a Box Nation subscription, not a hope in hell. But Eubank Jr., that wasn't ITV, so we don't know what ITV are doing with boxing. They haven't shown a PBC card. They haven't shown any real fights since Pacquiao Thurman back in July. So Eubank Jr. at this stage, where is he going? What's he doing? We're hearing about Charlo, constantly hearing about Jamal Charlo. Yeah, but is that Eubank Jr.'s only option at this stage now? Only Jamal Charlo? Yeah, Jamal Charlo has, a title at 160 pounds, he does, but Eubank Jr. at one stage, a big name, still is a big name, on AJ undercards, talk of him fighting Golovkin on pay-per-view, obviously he had the George Groves fight on pay-per-view. You really felt that Eubank Jr., he could have been a lot more than he is. And, I think there's a lot of reasons behind that, changing trainers, not listening to trainers, wanting control of this, wanting control of that, wanting more money, wanting this and that. A lot of things that you could blame the Eubanks for. But in some ways, I think we're not going to see Eubank Jr. ever fulfill his potential. And that would be a shame, because if he does fight Charlo, I think Charlo beats Eubank Jr. Personally, I think Charlo beats Eubank Jr. I think Eubank Jr. at this stage now, his biggest problem is he's getting older. He's in his 30s now. That athleticism is going to go. Eubank Jr. doesn't look good against boxers. He doesn't look good when someone, gives him a few angles, gives him movement. Okay? Has he ever really been in there other than George Groves with a real big puncher? Not really. He's in there with Spike O'Sullivan. Spike O'Sullivan can bang a bit. He was in there with George Groves. Obviously, we know George Groves can punch. But who else has really been in there who can bang? Abraham's not really a puncher. I think when he gets hit by Charlo, he'll know all about it. I think Charlo's accurate. He is a good puncher. One thing both guys have in common is both have a very good uppercut. Look at Charlo's uppercut, look at Eubank's uppercut. I think Charlo's uppercut is better. I think he had more power on Charlo's uppercut. So it looks like he's really putting all his eggs in one basket and going down the Charlo route. But you got to figure, like, you look at the zone, you know, you've opportunities there. You've an older Golovkin, you know, much older. I was surprised. I really thought Eubank Jr. at this stage now would be trying to get that Golovkin fight made, because you got an older Golovkin style plays into Eubank Jr.'s strengths. World title there. No mention of Golovkin that I've known. He's obviously still mentioning Canelo. That fight ain't gonna happen, you know. And Canelo would light Eubank Jr. up, would light him up badly. You know, Demetrius Andre, very bad fight for Eubank Jr. When you look at him, really, they're fights that could be made, but he's with a different promoter. He's on a different network. I was like, Al Hayman's not officially a promoter. I don't even know who the promoter is for Eubank Jr. these days. But Eubank Jr., they took a chance with ITV. They burnt bridges with Eddie Hearn. They burnt bridges with Frank Warren. And it just seems like now all they really have is that Charlo fight. There's no other options on the table. You know, they ain't going to get a Canelo fight. They ain't going to get a Triple G fight or a Demetrius Andre fight anytime soon anyway. You know, if you look at 168, the Ederson PBC guys there, Caleb Plant would box the head off Eubank Jr. I think Dave Benavidez would walk straight through him. You know, I think that 168, Eubank Jr., he can look good there in fights, you know, where he has, you know, say in it almost. You know, when he fights you guys like Yildirim, when he fights guys like Arthur Abraham, he can look good against those guys. When he fights big guys who can box and can punch, you know, the flaws are there. And I think at this stage now as well, he's too long in the tooth to really change his style and to really adapt, because I think he had another different trainer in his corner for the Korobov fight. So he's constant. There was talk of Virgil Hunter at one stage. What happened with that? So, you know, we're hearing all these things, chopping and changing, different promoter, different trainer, different network, all this from Eubank Jr. And, you know, Eubank Jr. is a person everyone's cup of tea. He's managed very well, to be fair. Like, he has made some good money, it has to be said. But, you know, I think there's potential there with Eubank Jr. that we're never going to get to see fulfilled. Because I think that there's been just so many mistakes. And I suppose, in one sense, I contradict myself when I say he's been managed well. He's managed well in terms of getting him money, but getting him fights that he can develop, getting him fights that, you know, he can maybe learn new things, try new things, you know, manage him in a sense of, you know, getting the right trainer, getting the right people there, not burning bridges. I think it's been handled all wrong for Eubank Jr. And it's a shame, because I would have liked to see Eubank Jr. in there but against the Golovkin. I'd love to see the Billy Joe rematch, but again, can't see that fight happening. And I think Billy Joe is going the Canelo route. I think Billy Joe's going to get that Canelo fight. So with Eubank Jr., you really get the impression that they're putting all their eggs in one basket and going for the Charlo fight, hoping for the best. And I don't think they'll beat Charlo. I don't. Now, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Could be wrong again. But that's just my thoughts on this. So I think Eubank Jr., his problems are there. Definitely. I mean, do you remember when he first signed with Al Hayman and was doing the PBC UK shows? 3-4 fights in 2019. He'd one fight in February and then didn't have one until December. So, kind of says it all. So, those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think down below. What are your thoughts on Eubank Jr.? How do you see him going? Do you see him... But what do you see him doing in the immediate future? You know, do you think he'll beat Charlo if they fight? Let me know what you think down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, of course, subscribe if you're new, share the video if you felt it was useful, and as always, I will talk to you after.